Here's your wrestling news for January 5th, 2026. Your headlines for today include WWE GM drops cryptic line hinting at Chris Jericho's return on Raw, Smackdown may not stick for 3 hours, reality WWE isn't saying out loud, unfortunate update on LA Knight ahead of WWE Raw, fan silent as wrestler breaks down crying in the ring, unexpected WWE return throws creative plans into chaos, another WWE star injured during holiday tour, concerns grow. Killer Kross breaks silence on AAA return under WWE control, and more. Chris Jericho may be finished with All Elite Wrestling, but the signs pointing toward a WWE return continue to stack up, and now WWE's own on-screen authority figure may have added fuel to the speculation. As previously reported, Jericho is expected to sign a new deal with WWE, with internal belief that his return could happen as soon as the January 5th, 2026 episode of Monday Night Raw. That episode also marks WWE's one-year anniversary, streaming live on Netflix, giving the company every reason to load the show with major moments. Ahead of the broadcast, Raw General Manager Adam Pearce released a promotional video hyping the stacked card. While running through the night's championship matches, Pearce dropped a line that longtime fans immediately caught on to. There are also 3 massive championship matches on the card. Who will break down the walls and walk out with the gold? Break Down the Walls has long been synonymous with Jericho, serving as the opening line to his iconic WWE entrance theme. Whether intentional or coincidental, the reference comes at a time when Jericho's name is already buzzing heavily around WWE circles. That speculation only gained more traction after Sports Illustrated's John Alba backed up earlier reports confirming that Jericho's AEW contract expired at midnight on December 31st. According to multiple sources, there is growing belief that he could be back on WWE television very soon, possibly as early as January 5th. Jericho has not appeared on AEW programming since April 2025 when he walked out on Big Bill and Brian Keith. He also notably streamed live on YouTube during AEW World's End, opting not to be part of the show, an absence many viewed as symbolic of his AEW chapter closing. Meanwhile, WWE is already stacking the January 5th Raw with marquee attractions. CM Punk is set to defend the World Championship against Braun Breaker, Becky Lynch challenges Maxine Dupree for the Women's Intercontinental Championship, and Kabuki Warriors face Io Sky and Rhea Ripley for the Women's Tag Titles. With a Stranger Things crossover theme also in play, WWE is clearly aiming for a headline-making night. Whether Pearce's wording was deliberate or simply clever phrasing, the timing is hard to ignore. WWE knows exactly how to spark conversation, and right now, all roads seem to be pointing toward Jericho. Do you think WWE is teasing fans purely to build hype, or is Jericho about to break down the walls one more time? And if he does return, who should be his first opponent? Sound off in the comments below. Smackdown officially returned to a 3-hour format on the USA Network this past Friday, but fans shouldn't assume the extended runtime is here to stay. According to Brian Alvarez on The Brian and Vinny Show, the 3-hour format may once again be a temporary move, potentially lasting only through the first half of 2026. Alvarez explained that this mirrors what WWE and the network did last year when Smackdown ran 3 hours for several months before reverting back to its traditional 2-hour time slot. This was the first 3-hour Smackdown, and they had a comment on the show, and I didn't write it down, but the way they said it made me think that this is an annual temporary thing. Last year, of course, Smackdown was 3 hours for about the first half of the year, and then it went back to 2 hours. Alvarez added that this was the expectation even before the January switch back to 3 hours. I was told when the announcement was made that they were going back to 3 hours in January that it probably was going to be the same thing this year, where it would be a 3-hour show for the first half or whatever. The reasoning appears to be network-driven. Alvarez suggested the extra hour may be designed to help USA Network establish a strong lead-in audience for another wrestling-adjacent program later in the year, similar to how Straight Up Steve Austin or the Braun Strowman-led project functioned previously. And then they wanted to find some other program similar to the Braun Strowman program that a lot of wrestling fans would watch, and that would follow SmackDown starting in the latter half of the year. While Alvarez remains firm that his belief that 3 hours is too long for any wrestling show, he did acknowledge that SmackDown's first 3-hour episode of 2026 landed better than expected. The show benefited from an influx of fresh faces, with appearances from Trick Williams, Jordan Grace, Javon Evans, and Matt Cardona helping justify the expanded runtime, at least for now. Still, if USA Network moves forward with its reported post-Smackdown programming plans, the blue brand could once again be trimmed back to 2 hours by the summer. So the question now shifts to the fans. Would you prefer Smackdown to stay at 3 hours, or is 2 hours enough for your Friday nights? Share your thoughts and feedback in the comments below. Enjoying the video? A quick like goes a long way in helping us grow and deliver more wrestling news you care about. LA Knight remains one of WWE's most popular babyfaces, but an unfortunate update has surfaced regarding his status ahead of the first Monday Night Raw of 2026. Knight has been absent from WWE programming since being taken out by The Vision on Raw last month. With fans eagerly awaiting his return, a recent report from Bodyslam.net suggested that the megastar could be back as soon as the January 5th edition of Raw. However, that optimism was tempered by new information from Sean Ross Sapp. Speaking during a recent Select Answers session for Fightful Select, Sapp stated that Knight is currently taking time off. Sapp clarified that Knight has not suffered a new injury, but added that WWE has struggled creatively when it comes to figuring out how to properly book him at this stage. According to Sapp, the issue is not physical, but rather a lack of clear creative direction for the former United States champion. That said, whenever LA Knight does return, it feels inevitable that his next program will be against Bronson Reed of The Vision. With WWE believed to have bigger long-term plans in place, including a potential short run as world champion, 2026 could finally be the year where Knight's full potential is properly realized. Do you trust Triple H to book LA Knight the right way moving forward, or are we headed for a repeat of 2025? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. The Wrestle Kingdom 20 main event delivered one of the most emotional moments in modern wrestling history as Kazuchika Okada defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi inside a sold-out Tokyo Dome, officially bringing an end to the Ace's legendary career. From the opening bell, the atmosphere was electric. The Tokyo Dome roared behind Tanahashi, fully aware they were witnessing the final chapter of a career that defined generations of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Every strike, every counter, and every burst of resilience carried added weight as Tanahashi fought not just Okada, but time itself. Okada, the man long positioned as Tanahashi's successor and ultimate rival, played his role to perfection. The match was brutal, emotional, and deeply symbolic, with Okada standing tall at the end as the torch was finally, unmistakably passed. It was less about victory and more about closure, a full-circle moment between two pillars of NJPW history. After his retirement match, Hiroshi Tanahashi was met in the ring by a returning Katsuyori Shibata, creating one of the most emotional moments of the night. Shibata's presence carried enormous weight. Only a few years ago, he suffered a severe injury that many believed had permanently ended his career. Seeing him step back into the ring to stand alongside Tanahashi brought the moment full circle. As the two longtime rivals and brothers-in-arms reunited, emotions overwhelmed them both. Tanahashi and Shibata embraced in the ring, visibly in tears, as the crowd soaked in a moment that transcended wins and losses. For fans, it was a reminder of everything these two gave to the business and why this era of New Japan Pro Wrestling will never be forgotten. How did that Tanahashi-Shibata moment hit you emotionally? Was this the perfect final image for the Ace's career? Sound off in the comments below. Matt Cardona's surprise WWE return has not just altered his own career trajectory, it's now forcing creative changes across the independent scene, particularly within JCW. Just days after Cardona unmasked as the mysterious Carnival of Carnage and captured the JCW World Championship on the January 1st episode of JCW Lunacy, his sudden WWE move has sent ripple effects through multiple promotions. Cardona has already relinquished the ACW World Championship due to his WWE contract, and his future involvement with JCW now appears increasingly unlikely. On January 4th, JCW's head of creative Vince Russo addressed the situation publicly, strongly implying that Cardona's WWE signing has forced last-minute adjustments behind the scenes. Russo was careful to note that there is no animosity toward Cardona, framing the development as a positive moment for him personally. He also acknowledged that Cardona's JCW run was always intended to be brief, but still meaningful. However, Russo also openly admitted that Cardona's exit has required JCW to rethink its creative direction. Now, as a writer, are there going to have to be rewrites? Of course there are, but there are always rewrites, and to a real writer, that's a challenge that is always welcomed. Russo expanded on that point by emphasizing that no promotion should ever hinge on one performer, referencing advice he received years ago from Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon told me almost 30 years ago, no talent is bigger than the company, and he was 100% correct. It takes a whole roster. With Cardona now firmly back under the WWE umbrella, JCW faces an important decision whether to vacate the championship outright or pivot creatively to explain his sudden absence and elevate a new top name. Do you think JCW should vacate the title or build a storyline around Matt Cardona's abrupt exit? And who do you see stepping up now that he's back in WWE? Sound off in the comments below. B-Fab may be the latest name added to WWE's growing injury list as concerns surfaced following the company's holiday live event tour. According to Fightful Select, B-Fab is believed to have possibly suffered a concussion during a recent house show. While the injury has not been officially confirmed, WWE officials were reportedly concerned enough to remove her from action as a precautionary measure. B-Fab had been filling in for Michin, who was already pulled from the road earlier due to a legitimate shoulder injury. That situation had immediate ripple effects on Smackdown, where a planned match between Michin and Jade Cargill was quietly removed from the lineup. In storyline, Cargill addressed the situation with a backstage promo, taking credit for Michin's injury and framing it as a warning to the rest of the women's division. Shortly after, Michin confirmed on social media that she had suffered a shoulder injury, though she reassured fans it would only be a short-term setback. Prior to the injury, Michin had been involved in a slow-burning program with Cargill that began after confronting her following her WWE Women's Championship victory. The original creative plan reportedly had Michin earning a title opportunity if she could defeat Cargill in a singles match on Smackdown, a bout that ultimately never took place due to the injury. With both Michin and B-Fab currently sidelined, WWE's women's division continues to feel the effects of mounting injuries, leaving questions about how creative plans may shift in the coming weeks. Do you think WWE should revisit the Jade Cargill vs. Michin feud once she's cleared, or is it time for a new challenger to step up? Share your thoughts in the comments below. The Miz officially closed the book on what may go down as the worst year of his WWE career. According to match records listed on CageMatch.net, the self-proclaimed A-lister failed to win a single singles match throughout all of 2025 across television and live events. The year started on a rough note with his loss to Sami Zayn on Raw in January, and things only spiraled further once Miz moved to Smackdown later that month. Losses piled up against established stars like LA Knight, Jey Uso, and Jimmy Uso. Even newer faces gave him trouble, with defeats to Jacob Fatu, Javon Evans, and Aleister Black. The struggles didn't stop on television. On the house show circuit, Miz was routinely on the losing end against names like Joe Hendry and Carmelo Hayes. The lone bright spot came in tag team action. Miz briefly partnered with Hayes in the short-lived duo Mello Don't Miz, picking up wins over teams such as the Motor City Machine Guns and Fraxium. But the pairing fizzled out before the year ended, leaving Miz right back where he started, on his own and without momentum. That frustration finally boiled over on the January 2nd, 2026 episode of Smackdown when he took an RKO from a returning Randy Orton. Now heading deeper into 2026, The Miz finds himself with a full calendar year of singles losses behind him, no tag partner, and his confidence publicly shattered. Unless something drastically changes, the former WWE champion risks being remembered for everything but being awesome. What do you think? Has The Miz truly hit rock bottom, or is a comeback story still waiting to be told? Sound off in the comments below. Killer Kross is keeping his future flexible, and that includes the possibility of returning to AAA. However, with the promotion now operating under WWE's control, the path forward is no longer straightforward. Speaking with Sean Ross Sapp, Killer Kross addressed whether he and Scarlett had any contact with AAA following the expiration of his WWE contract on August 10, 2025. Kross confirmed that while there is mutual interest between himself and Conan, the situation has changed significantly due to a new corporate structure. Kross explained that discussions have taken place, but any potential appearance now has to go through an added chain of command. With WWE overseeing AAA operations, decisions are no longer made informally or independently. Despite the added complexity, Kross made it clear the door remains open. He expressed complete trust in Conan and reiterated his willingness to work together if the logistics and approvals line up. With AAA now operating in a different landscape, a return isn't guaranteed, but it's far from off the table. Would you like to see Killer Kross back in AAA under WWE's banner, or should he head somewhere new? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. How WWE snubbed Drew McIntyre once again, and how Randy Orton strategically worked his way back into the title picture. Check out yesterday's video, linked in the description below. Don't miss our next video coming at 5:30 p.m. Eastern with all the latest wrestling updates. Smash that bell icon and select all notifications so you're always in the loop.